first non-spoiler thoughts and then diving into spoilers. So, Thor Love and Thunder finds Thor facing Gore the God Butcher, who is determined to see the extinction of all gods. Thor then enlists the help of some old friends to hunt down Gore in hopes of stopping him before he eliminates all the gods. So, overall, this was a fun movie, but not much else. It really did feel like a filler movie, I guess. Honestly, I didn't quite see the point to this movie. But Taika Waititi's signature comedy that he brought to Thor Ragnarok is in Thor Love and Thunder as well, but personally for me, a lot of the jokes didn't land. It was sort of the same issue that I had with Thor Ragnarok. I kind of felt like some of the comedic moments ruined some really great moments because it took me out of the movie so many times. But I think that if you definitely enjoyed the comedy of Thor Ragnarok, I think you will enjoy the comedy in Love and Thunder as well. The visuals in this movie are absolutely amazing, and I think that was one of the things the movie did really, really well, was the visual aspect of everything. Like, the scenery and everything like that was just amazing. So now I'm going to dive into some plot points in no particular order, but this is your spoiler warning. If you have not seen Thor Love and Thunder, go watch it. It's on Disney Plus now, because I will be talking about plot points, and within that there will be spoilers. So this is your spoiler warning. Okay, so this was honestly a plot that I was really looking forward to seeing, and I really did enjoy a lot of aspects of Jane becoming Mighty Thor. I like that we didn't actually see her become Mighty Thor. Like, we saw her looking at the broken pieces of Mjolnir in New Asgard, and like the pieces had like lightning crackling around them, and it was like, ooh, okay. And then the next time we see her, like, it's the battle in New Asgard with Gore and the shadow monsters, and she's all suited up. So I really did love that we didn't actually see her become Mighty Thor. But yeah, we did learn bits and pieces near the beginning of like the movie, like the first third of the movie, I want to say. We get her telling Thor that Mjolnir was calling to her, and that's why she ended up in New Asgard, looking at the broken pieces of Mjolnir, because Mjolnir was calling to her. And then we see in the flashbacks, aka Korg storytelling, that during Jane and Thor's love story, Thor tells Mjolnir, "She's incredible, isn't she, Mjolnir? I need you to promise me you'll always protect her." Which ultimately that resulted in Thor unknowingly making Mjolnir enchanted so that Jane would be worthy of Mjolnir's powers if she was ever in need of protection from any mortal danger, like her stage 4 cancer. It was honestly like a fun moment to see that flashback scene. I'm using air quotes because it wasn't really a flashback. To sort of add in there explaining why Jane was, one, drawn to Mjolnir, and why it transformed her into the mighty Thor. Of course, like I said, stage 4 cancer, so being mighty Thor did not last very long. I don't know, I really love Jane becoming mighty Thor, and it was one of the plot points that I think the movie did really well, especially with the slow trickle of information. Because honestly, it could have just as easily been an exposition dump, and I am relieved beyond belief that it was not an exposition dump, and they found fun ways of sort of explaining things. Yeah, I really like Jane becoming mighty Thor. The cancer and her dying of cancer, not so much. But at least we got mighty Thor for a movie. Yay. Okay, so this is weird and it's random, but I want to talk about it because it was funny. So basically, New Asgard, the home to the Asgardian people, has basically become a tourist attraction. So, like, you have the Asgardian people living in New Asgard, but you have people coming in and out, and they're giving tours, and they have, like, I don't know whether it's multiple plays, but there's at least one play, like, of, like, Thor Ragnarok, and it was just such a blast to watch, honestly. Yeah, I don't have much to say about this, but I had to bring up New Asgard basically becoming a tourist attraction, complete with Asgardian treasures and a play recreating Thor Ragnarok at the very least. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Korg's storytelling. To be honest, it may be the only time that I actually liked Korg in this movie. The comedic bits in the storytelling where he kept getting Jane's name wrong was fun. It was funny. It was one of the few times where I enjoyed the comedy in this movie. I like that they managed to tell an entire love story for Thor and Jane through Korg's storytelling session. It was also a great way for the movie to have a prologue sort of recapping how we got to this point, and an epilogue sort of explaining the end of the movie. Yeah, it was just, it was a fun bit. It wasn't a whole lot of storytelling in there, which is why I think that I enjoyed it, because things in moderation is good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The goats were incredibly annoying. Like, beyond, like, they drove me nuts. Like, I think it would have been fine if, like, they were in, like, 1 or 2 scenes. But it seemed like they were everywhere. And I really needed them not to be. Because, like, so annoying. Like, I hate the goats so much. Oh, I'm like, why were the goats there? I really needed them not to be there. Okay, so I don't know why I was weirded out by Stormbreaker's jealousy of Mjolnir. I think maybe it was like, you know, one of those bits that went on for too long. You know, we had Korg storytelling in moderation, and that was great, but we had a jealous Stormbreaker basically in every scene, and I'm like, maybe we don't do this. I mean, I guess both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker sort of felt as if they were alive. You know, they knew when they were being summoned and how to get to where they were going, so I guess if you look at it as Mjolnir and Stormbreaker being at least somewhat alive, then I guess it would make sense that Stormbreaker would be jealous of Mjolnir, but still really weird and went on for far too long. I love seeing the children of, like, New Asgard, especially Heimdall's son Axel, who really, like, took on a leadership role when they were, like, kidnapped and everything, and he was trying to keep all the kids calm, and he reached out to Thor to, like, let Thor know where they were, and it was just great to see the children of New Asgard. And I mean, Valkyrie and Lady Sif are training these children, so they will no doubt be amazing warriors. There is the Norwegian term for it. I am not going to attempt to pronounce it. I looked it up online how to pronounce it and immediately forgot how. So, amazing warriors. Text somewhere on the screen with what they are actually called. So the fight sequences were really good. I really loved that Mjolnir can, like, break into, like, several, like, little pieces and take out several targets at once. It kind of makes sense. Mjolnir is broken, so Mjolnir can break into little pieces. But I really love the battle at the Gates of Eternity, where Thor has basically rescued the New Asgard kids, and they all sort of grab weapons, which Thor basically enchants, and it looks like a family tree almost, like the lighting. And now suddenly there are several kids running around with the power of Thor, temporarily. And it's just a really fun scene to see this massive horde of children just, like, glowing eyes, glowing weapons, and they're just ready for battle. And I'm like, I love this. But I really loved the kid who actually didn't grab a weapon and just sort of had, like, a stuffed animal. I couldn't figure out what the stuffed animal was, though. But basically the stuffed animal got powers. So the stuffed animal had the powers of Thor, and it was just hilarious. But yeah, I really loved that, like, the kids weren't just kids and they got to, like, get in on the action a little bit. So yeah, that was fun. But I really did enjoy, like, all of the fight sequences in this movie, which is a rarity. But yeah. Okay, so Gorr's villainous origin story is interesting enough, I guess. You know, he spent his life, his daughter died in the name of the god Rapu. But basically Rapu doesn't really care about anything. Like, he's just basically telling Gorr, like, your job and your purpose in life is literally suffering for your god. And then Gorr gets the all-black necro sword. It basically calls to him. And then, basically because Rapu was a big jerk, Gorr basically decides, I'm going to eliminate all gods. Because people should not be dedicating their lives to any god because they don't care. Fair. But it's the part where they basically made him not really a villain that they kind of lost me. So basically the necro sword that Gorr has and he's using to kill all these gods is corrupting him. So, while I think he does have the idea to kill all the gods, the Necrosword is like magnifying that hatred and that need, I guess. And so he's not really a villain because the Necrosword is making him a villain. And once you destroy the Necrosword, then he's basically just this weak man who is sad. Okay. I just really wish that they leaned into Gore being a villain and stuck with that. But nonetheless, the Necrosword was the real villain of this movie because, yeah, Gore wasn't. I don't know. So, you may have thought Love and Thunder referred to, Jane and Thor, Love and Thunder, that type of thing. No. Not even close. So, basically, Gore's daughter is brought back to life, and Thor promises Gore that he will take care of her. They go out and fight as a duo known as Love and Thunder, because guess what? Gore's daughter's name is Love, and Thor is Thunder. I just... The fact that this movie is called Love and Thunder and really, it only comes into play at the very end of the movie is kind of weird. But, I mean, Thor being a dad is an interesting angle to go with this character. I don't know how much this angle will be explored in the future, but I really do love the dynamic of Thor and Love. Gonna be honest, that is probably a big part of why I love their dynamic is because the fact that Love is played by India Rose Hemsworth, aka Chris Hemsworth's real life daughter. So, yeah, their dynamic is probably, I'm going to assume, very much pulled from the real life connection that these two have with each other. And she was great in her scenes with Christian Bale as Gore, but you could definitely see how more comfortable she was in those final scenes with Thor, because she's acting opposite her dad, and it was just it was really sweet. I really did enjoy that. And look, if you want to, give us an angle where Thor is basically a dad raising a daughter, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain. So, we had quite a few characters cameo in this movie. Some of them I'm okay with the very little screen time they got. And others should have definitely gotten more. So, let's get into our little cameo characters. We have the Guardians of the Galaxy. They were in the trailer, so it was like, yep, they're going to be in this movie. Be in this movie is an overstatement. So, basically, they have, this moment at the beginning where they're fighting alongside Thor, and then Thor's like, peace out. Okay. I'm fine with it, because one, I'm not a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan, but also, they're getting at least one more movie and a holiday special, so I don't think they need to be in Thor Love and Thunder taking up time from, Thor in his movie. That's just me, though. So, yeah, I'm okay with the Guardians taking a back seat in this movie. I don't particularly know why they bothered to include them at all, but what are you gonna do? Then we have Darcy, who was another character who had minimal screen time, and again, I was fine with it. Like, I love Darcy. I love her friendship with Jane. It was great to see her be there for her friend as she undergoes chemo. But given the premise of this movie, you know, hunting down a god butcher, not really sure having Darcy around in a larger capacity would have worked. So yeah, I'm fine with Darcy's limited screen time. The only other scene I think I would have liked to have seen her be in is basically when Jane is like on death's door in the hospital. Like, Valkyrie's been stabbed, Jane's in the hospital, she's weak and everything like that. I think, you know, having Darcy come there would have been nice, but then Jane probably wouldn't have been able to make it into the final battle, and yeah. So I guess it all worked out in the end. Eric Selvig is back as well. His appearance is the briefest of them all. Seriously, the briefest of them all. He is on a computer screen. He tells Jane that there is nothing they can do for her cancer. That's it. But, you know, like Darcy, I don't really know how he would have fit into this movie in a larger capacity. But he was there, so that was cool. But now we come to the one person who would have fit in the rest of the movie entirely, Lady Sif. So, Jamie Alexander was one of the confirmed actors to be in this movie. Her name is at the bottom of the poster. Yeah, it's not at the top with the rest of them, but if you look at all the little text at the bottom, you can see Jamie Alexander's name there. Cool. She was absent during Ragnarok, so that was another weird bit that they did, but she is a warrior. She has 2 very brief scenes in this movie. Basically, she's in one scene where she's like calling out, like, into, I guess, a camera. Unclear why there's a camera, but, and she's calling out, like, we're in trouble. Thor goes to her. She's lost an arm. Her arm's probably in Valhalla, but she's not gonna be because she didn't die in battle. Okay. She's absent the rest of the movie. Like, this was near the beginning of the movie. Like, the Guardians were still involved type thing. And then she's absent. And then she shows up at the end. No lines. No arm. And she's training Axel. I'm not sure why Lady Sif was not in this movie. I'm gonna be real. I think she would have been more useful on the mission to stop Gorr than Korg was. Especially because Korg was mostly just a face. But she was sidelined for the whole movie. We did not get to see her fight in a battle once. I don't get it. Like, I almost wish that, like, Jamie Alexander's appearance would have been a surprise. That we didn't know that she was going to be in this movie. Because then, maybe, I would have liked it a little bit more. Let's be real. I probably still would have had this complaint, but I would have been like, oh, well, it's nice that she was in this movie. But for, like, a year, actually, I think more than a year, it was confirmed that she was in this movie. She wasn't in this movie. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I'm hugely disappointed by this. I don't know whether I would have liked the movie anymore if she was a part of it, but the fact that she wasn't, I was like, I don't like this one bit. this was another thing that really, really kind of bothered me a little bit. Thor Love and Thunder's villain is Gore the God Butcher. So naturally you would assume we would see a lot of gods. If you assume that, you would be wrong. So, Thor, obviously, God, we love him. Then there's Zeus. He was there. He had, I guess, quite a bit to do, but not really. Rapu had a moment at the beginning. A moment. And then basically a whole bunch of flyby gods. Like, some of them got names. Some of them got faces. And some of them were just up in the rafters, waiting for Zeus to come out. Okay. So, Thor kills Zeus. I guess we're putting air quotes around kills now because the post-credits scene, which I'll get to soon. But he basically says, oh yeah, the other gods are probably going to hunt us down and everything like that because we killed Zeus. Okay. I'm not entirely sure I care. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't want Thor to die. I don't want Valkyrie to die. Jane's already dead, so it don't matter. But I don't want them to die. So if other gods come to try to kill them, that would be bad. But we don't know the other gods. So I don't know if I care. And I guess minor-ish Moon Knight spoilers. So Moon Knight introduced the Egyptian gods. Would have been cool to see some of them in this movie. We did not. I think also another thing that could have been interesting was in Moon Knight's season finale post-credit scene, they could have had Gore show up and slay a god. Any one of them. It would have been a heck of a lot better than that Moon Knight post-credit scene that we did get. But nonetheless, we came off of a show that introduced the Egyptian gods. We're in a movie with a god butcher as a villain. No correlation whatsoever. I don't get it. I don't get why there was a lack of gods anywhere. But Gore the God Butcher did not have a whole lot of gods to kill. He didn't do a lot of whole butching. There should have been more gods. But, whatever. Okay, so, the first post-credit scene, I guess it's the mid-credit scene, shows Zeus alive. Somehow. I mean, he got stabbed with his lightning bolt. Like, his lightning bolt flew through him. He's alive. He is sending Hercules to go kill Thor. Again, I don't know Hercules. I mean, I know of Hercules. But I don't know MCU Hercules. So I'm going to assume that Thor could take him out easily. So, okay. I guess this post-credit scene does something that the rest of the movie did not, which is set up the future. I guess. That's about all it did. But anyways, the second post-credit scene, I guess actually would be the post-credit scene, shows Jane being welcomed into Valhalla by Heimdall! Look, I was sad to lose Jane. Very sad that the cancer killed her and all that. And also being Mighty Thor killed her. But seeing her enter Valhalla was nice. Always great to see Heimdall. Love Heimdall. So okay. Okay. It was there. It provided closure for Jane. I'm not entirely sure why this needed to be a scene. But nonetheless, we got Valhalla, we got Jane in Valhalla, we got Heimdall, so I guess I'm happy. So I guess Thor Love and Thunder was somewhat fun, but I just am not entirely sure why this movie existed. Like, it felt like everything they gave, they took away. Everything you giveth, you taketh away. You know, they gave us Jane as Mighty Thor, only to kill her in the end. They gave us Gore the God Butcher, but killed him in the end, while also simultaneously not giving him a whole lot of gods for him to butcher. It was a movie that had quite a few great moments in it. But those great moments didn't do anything to really salvage this movie for me. And like I said, the comedy just pulled me out of the movie way too many times. And I'm not entirely sure why this movie existed. Like, other than like, okay, Thor is going to be a dad. Okay, cool. Hercules is going to be sent to kill Thor. Okay. But like, it was a very contained movie, and I think that's why, you know, Korg's storytelling kind of worked in a way, because it felt like you were reading a book. You have the beginning, you have the main plot, and then you have the end, and that's it. Like, there's nothing more, there's nothing less, and it's just like, I don't know why this movie existed, to be honest. Like, I think if they had, you know, kept Jane alive as Mighty Thor, at least for a little while, to have, like, you know, another movie maybe, that would have been fine. If they had kept Gore the God Butcher around and had him sort of be this looming threat. Like, I know they want Kang as the looming threat, but Gore could have been, you know, sort of like a minor overarching threat. Like, especially, like I said, with Moon Knight having the Egyptian gods, I think, like, Gore being alive and being a god butcher could have been an interesting angle going forward, because we do have these gods introduced into the MCU that it's like, okay, god butcher, this works. But they redeemed him and then killed him, and it was like, I don't understand this movie and its existence. And like I said, the great moments, they're going to be memorable. I'm going to remember them. But it's not going to be a rewatched movie. And I mean, look, if you love the comedy in Thor Ragnarok, you will probably love the comedy in this movie too. But if you're like me, did not like the comedy in Thor Ragnarok, the comedy is just not really going to hit in this movie either. So, my overall thoughts are, I don't know why this movie exists. But, let me know, what did you all think of Love and Thunder? Did you think it lived up to the hype? Did it fall flat? Let me know all your Thor Love and Thunder thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more Marvel content.